You're listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
We are live from the LCMS Youth Gathering in Houston, Texas. It is a quiet morning here in the gathering. Well, somewhat quiet.
Except for the beeping.
You can hear equipment in the background. That's because it's a quiet time before the youth all descend upon the George R. Brown Convention Center here in Houston. And we have more news and stories to share with you from the LCMS Youth Gathering. Thanks to Concordia University, Wisconsin for supporting the Coffee Hour. Find out more about Concordia University, Wisconsin at cuw.edu.
Live Uncommon.
Which they're about a half a mile from us in this hall. Down is
literally yes.
Almost a half a mile. It's probably a quarter mile.
It's huge.
It's probably a quarter mile down to the other end of the convention center. And then just so few steps from us is the Museum of the Bible here at the Convention Center for the LCMS Youth Gathering. Joining us at our booth today, the Reverend Dr. Jeffrey Kloha. He's Chief Curatorial Officer for Museum of the Bible. Dr. Kloha, welcome back to the Coffee Hour.
Good morning. Great to see you guys again.
It's nice to get to visit with you in person.
Yeah.
Usually
we're on the phone. Yeah. It's great.
Hasn't happened in a while.
I know. And thanks for bringing the museum to us.
Yeah, it's fun. You know, they gave me a call and said, would the museum be interested in doing something at the gathering? And so we got a few people together, and I think it came out pretty well. You know, a lot of fun stuff for kids to do and get excited about the Bible.
Excellent. Well, I want to learn more about what, in just a moment, what's available for the kids to do at the Museum of the Bible at the gathering. Yeah. But share with us an update on the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. What's new this year? Yeah,
it's, coming out of the pandemic, a lot of shifting and changing and trying to get things set up, but back on track. Coming up in September, we have a brand new exhibition on the Samaritans, actually. First ever major exhibition on the Samaritans.
Interesting. And
talk about their, obviously their biblical background, the New Testament stories, of course, and the interactions, and then even into the present day Samaritan community. And really pretty fascinating. We're bringing some objects from Israel, and inscriptions and things, manuscripts and things from Greece. Really fascinating story of a religious community, biblical, that are trying to figure out how to be a biblical people still today in the modern day. So really interesting exhibit. That'll be there only from September 15th through the end of the year. So great time to come to D.C. And then for Christmas, another really cool exhibit. We have a nice partnership with the Orthodox Church and the Patriarch of Constantinople in Jerusalem. And for Christmas, we'll be bringing out from the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem 6 bells, which have never left Israel, never left Jerusalem. And they were buried during the Crusader period in the 12th century. They found them about 100 years ago. And so we're going to bring them and talk about Christmas, the Christmas story at Bethlehem. The Church of the Nativity has just been refurbished. It's stunningly beautiful. If you haven't seen it in the last, year, literally just reopened it. So it's a great way to bring some really cool things and talk about the biblical story through these objects, which you can't see anywhere else in the world. So it's pretty cool. A lot of cool stuff going on.
That is awesome. I was there at the Museum of the Bible in, I believe it was 2019 after the March for Life, because I got snowed into D.C. And this was during a government shutdown, and Museum of the Bible was one of the only things that was open.
So right.
And where I was staying was only a few bucks, so I was actually able to visit then, and it's incredible. So highly recommend, if anybody has the chance to go visit, to definitely take the time and visit. There's so much there to see. I'm curious why you chose the Samaritans. That is a very interesting, it's a very interesting thing to display, but also I'm very curious.
Well,
I would love to go see that.
And that's, the one of the great things about a museum like Museum of the Bible, and our topic, of course, the Bible, is you have 4,000 years of history and pretty much every culture in the world.
Yeah.
So you have an unending list of, we could do a billion topics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it has to do with, you plan, you talk to people, figure out the good partnerships, what makes sense. But also we try to do things, topics that people might be familiar with but not know a lot about, especially non-Christians, right? So everybody's heard of, Good Samaritan Hospital or the Good Samaritan or Good Samaritan laws, right? So what the heck is that, right? It's a word, it's a theme that floats around in our culture. Well, come to the Museum of the Bible and learn more about the Samaritans and then the Bible, right? So we try to find topics that are hooks that will bring people in and get them to learn about the Bible, maybe for the first time.
Yeah.
Who's the audience? Who's coming to the Museum of the Bible? Because you mentioned maybe non-Christians coming in.
I mean, it's intentionally. More. I mean, clearly, most people who come like the Bible, right? They have a faith background, school groups. That's certainly most of our audience is that. But a goal really from the beginning and in the design phase and the way we do the content is to focus on the Bible as a cultural object. So the history of the Bible, the impact of the Bible around the world, culturally and in America. And then, basic stories of the Bible. It's the narrative of the New Testament, Gospels, just to introduce people to those maybe for the first time. So it has a lot for somebody who studied the Bible their entire lives. They're certainly going to learn something new. Just the manuscripts themselves are just phenomenal. But we didn't want to have people not come in because they thought they were going to get beat on, right? There's lots of churches and ministries that do a great job sharing the gospel, but being in Washington, D.C. and kind of in a national, international stage, we wanted to show the significance of the Bible for everybody and have it accessible to everybody, regardless of faith background, tradition, or no faith at all. And it's interesting to see the visitor feedback because people will comment. I came here a little suspicious, but I was amazed, or I learned this, and so, or they're surprised that we're not beating them over the head with the Bible kind of thing, So it's, that's not certainly the vast majority of the audience, but that's certainly a target.
Yeah. Now, I'm pretty certain of this. I think you're the only Chief Curatorial Officer I know. I've heard of other, C-suite offices, but I think you're the only Chief Curatorial Officer I know. And I think this is the only time I've ever heard that title before, too. So,
I've met one other person with that title.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, they kind of made it up, but all that stuff, Kloha has it, right? Take care of it,
that works.
Nobody knows who it belongs to. Just give it to Dr. Kloha.
That's kind of how it works. Yeah.
So what is the work of the Chief Curatorial Officer?
Well, unfortunately, day to day, a lot of it is emails, meetings, and budgets, and it's typical bureaucratic stuff. Yeah. But in the curatorial department, we are responsible for all the exhibits, for the education programs and the tours and the lecture series. For the collection itself, we have about 55,000 objects in our collections. And then the research programs, we sponsor some archaeological excavations and research projects, publications, things like that. So kind of the public educational work at the museum is all under one umbrella. So there's a lot of planning. It's building relationships with museums and churches and leaders around the world, and coming up with projects. Planning ahead. It's really pretty exciting, really, to see how many people, how many organizations worldwide really value the Bible. And then to be able to bring that to Washington and bring it to an American audience in a very, I think, engaging, interesting way, it's really a lot of fun, except for the emails and the meetings and budgets, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But we have a fantastic team, very talented team, as you can tell from our little mini exhibit and the way the museum is, as you said, Sarah. It's just stunning. Yeah. Very creative, talented people, and it's a lot of fun to. My job is here's what we're doing. Go figure it out. Come back to me, and I'll kind of sign off on it. Kind of what it is. But yes, it's a beautiful place to work and a really important mission.
Did you ever think? I'm sorry, I'm stealing Sarah's question here, but did you ever think when you were entering into the ministry and going to seminary and continuing education that this was even on the horizon, like doing this?
Yeah, pretty much nothing I've done in my life is what I thought I would do. So that's how it works, right?
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
No, not at all. And even getting to the museum was very random. They got my name and called me up, and I went from there. But and then my job shifted, and so yeah, it's God puts you in places, and just try to be faithful.
Yeah, it's just so exciting, and it's so cool when people just when you just fall into these positions, and then you're doing such great work, which is so exciting. What actually goes into curating these exhibits? I mean, talking about getting bells from Israel that have never left Israel. I'm sure that you don't just make a phone call and be like, "Hey, send those over."
Can we borrow these?
Yeah, I'm sure there's more that goes into it than that.
Yeah, no, we started talking with, and again, we have a board of directors. We have an advisory board that's more academic and faith-based, and we knew in the museum, as you get started, and the focus of the collection is what you focus on first. Mm-hmm. But in the collections, we really didn't have much on Eastern Christianity, Orthodox churches, of course, 2,000 years of history with the Bible. And so we had a couple of advisors on our academic committee who Orthodox and had connections, so started talking with the Patriarchate of Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. Probably 4 years ago, I guess, and went over there, talked, and so it takes a while for people to, we're a new museum, right? So for people to get to know you and visit the museum, feel comfortable, and then it's like, okay, we're going to do it, and it's like, now it's all of a sudden 100 miles an hour after 4 years of conversation,
Right.
But what's been really fun's the right word, but just wonderful people.
Yeah.
It's been great to work with people from so many different backgrounds, and they're really just trying to get to the same place, right? The Bible, faith, the importance of the Word of God. It's a great way to bring people together and focus on what really matters.
Yeah.
Well, we have more to learn about Museum of the Bible at the LCMS Youth Gathering in Houston today. We're talking with Reverend Dr. Jeffrey Kloha. You're listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
At Concordia University, Wisconsin, we believe you were created for a reason: to use your God-given gifts to help others, to live a life of self-sacrifice in a me-first world, to live a life that's uncommon. Whether you're taking one of 50-plus online programs or learning with us in person on the shores of Lake Michigan, you'll be equipped to make an uncommon impact. Learn more at cuw.edu. Concordia University, Wisconsin. Live uncommon.
Welcome back to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
We are broadcasting live from the LCMS Youth Gathering in Houston, Texas. Our guest today, the Reverend Dr. Jeffrey Kloha, Chief Curatorial Officer at the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C., but so graciously brought the museum, at least some of it, to us here at the Youth Gathering in Houston. You didn't pack up all of it and...
430,000 square feet we brought right here, right?
It would fill the convention center.
It might fit, actually.
It would take a while to get it over.
I don't know, 6 floors? I don't know, we'll have to see, yeah.
That's true. It's pretty big.
It's big.
The doors, though, the doors wouldn't fit.
Doors wouldn't fit,
The doors are so cool.
So tell us about what youth are experiencing at the Museum of the Bible at the Youth Gathering here.
Yeah, when we spoke, when they approached us about doing something here, they wanted... obviously some interactivity and things to engage the kids, and some objects, right? So we actually started with some cool things we could bring that are not, shall we say, especially fragile, right? Environmental things. So we've had this Bible. It's the world's largest Bible. It's pretty cool. This gentleman, Louis Weinai, in 1928 decided he wanted to make the largest Bible in the world, and hand-stamped, letter by letter, the entire King James Bible.
Whoa!
It's 1,100 pounds. It's it's 4 shipping crates. I mean, it's gigantic. You can't see my hands, but it's like it's gigantic, and it's so it's attracts people. It's cool. They want to talk about it, right? And it gives you a sense of. It's not that uncommon actually, where someone undertakes to write the Bible themselves or produce a Bible, kind of as devotional exercise. So it's a really cool thing, and then we brought a few other things, right? And what are some cool themes? So part of what we try to do at the museum is show how the Bible's, I hate to use the word relevant, but in ways that you might not expect. Mm-hmm. So we have three themes in the exhibit. The Bible is so edgy, right? And it's talking about how people have, over the years, painted biblical scenes on the edges of Bibles. It's kind of cool. Beautiful things. And then the Bible is so concrete, right? Talking about mud bricks from the Babylonian period. Mm-hmm. Now, we didn't bring one, but we have pictures. It's a little too fragile. And the Bible is so dangerous. And that's, on my Museum of the Bible T-shirt here. And times when it was illegal to translate the Bible, and people were martyred for translating the Bible. So William Tyndale and Wycliffe, the Lollards, exactly. So we do have some pretty cool objects people can see, just a handful, but the Bible is the big, huge Bible is the big attraction. And then we also wanted to have some experiential learning kinds of things. So we have a quiz game where people do quizzes, and it's kind of funny. Apparently, I didn't know this, you can keep doing the quiz on your phone even if you're not at the booth. Uh-huh. And I'm told that some people are hyper-competitive, conservative too, but hyper-competitive, and they stay on the app the entire day, and they're trying to be the top scorer for the entire event. Now, there's no prize. I don't know why they're doing this, but they're like playing every game, and they're like 6 billion points on. There's like apparently 3 people trying to beat each other on this. So that's fun, and then there's a video thing where people can do, the Bible is so whatever, and their kind of phrase for the Bible, and then we're giving that to the gathering people, and I think they're going to show those the last day or something. And then we're also, if you do all those things, you get stamps, and then you can throw your tag in and get a trip to the museum to come see the Museum of the Bible. Yeah, so
whoa,
it's been fun. There's thousands of kids coming through, and they're hanging out, playing games, and talking about the Bible, and doing fun video stuff. And it's been great. And it's amazing how many people have been there, which is cool. And they're telling other people, hey, you should go. It's pretty, so it's great. Just want to expose people to the Bible, and hopefully come to the museum.
Wow, that is cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool. All of that stuff. The world's biggest Bible. Yeah. I need to walk over there and look at it now.
It's pretty cool.
Can we take a picture with it?
Of course, yeah.
Yes.
Put it on social media, hashtag Museum of the Bible, right? Yeah, of course.
There we go. We'll have to do that on
people
our
think
social.
It's fake. They're like, can you turn a page? I mean, it's all there. It's not fake. It's massive. It's 100 years old. It's pretty cool.
Wow, that is really cool. What has the response been from the youth who have gone through? I mean, there are literally thousands of youth here, and most, well, I don't know about most, but a lot of them have been walking through the exhibit hall. Mm-hmm. What has the response been from the ones coming through?
Yeah, it's great. They don't just kind of glance and go. They hang out, they interact. Of course, the Bible's a big draw. We have some of our curators here talking about it, and they're very engaging, and so we have, and our educators, of course, know how to work with kids and things. So it's great to see them hang around for quite a while. You see some people there for 15, 20 minutes hanging out. And, so that's great. We part of what we do as a museum are 3 kind of descriptors, if you will. We want to be innovative, global, and educational. So educational can be pretty staid and boring, but we wanted to be, again, innovative, come up with new ways to talk about the Bible, highlight some things that people might not know, show its relevance and significance, and then communicate that in new ways, different ways. And we're sort of doing a little bit of that here, as much as you could do in 3 days with the big trailer truck.
Right.
Wow. Now I haven't had a chance to make it over yet to the booth. Now I want to go hang out over there.
You know where we're going when we're off the air.
Catching up to do on the quiz. Yeah.
That's right.
I'm going to beat the No, I'm not. I don't have time for that. We've got our own booth.
Challenge accepted. Now we know. You've figured out how to engage youth if you've got youth competing all day on these quizzes.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, I'm not sure they're all youth. There might be this old guy who's, who knows. But.
Well, that's just it. I mean, the gathering, it's a youth gathering, and so obviously there are thousands upon thousands of youth at this gathering. Yeah. But there are also a few thousand adults at this gathering as well. Is this your first gathering, or have you been to other gatherings before?
No. You're going to make me date myself. So, my first gathering was 1983.
Oh, nice.
The San Antonio, I think it was the River of Light was the theme.
I think so.
I went as a student back in the day. And then the second gathering was, I think it must have been 95. I was a pastor in Cleveland, and we brought a group down to actually get to San Antonio, so a similar theme here. But then this is my first gathering since 1995.
Wow.
So kind of cool.
Yeah. What has your experience been? Have you been able to walk around? I know being exhibitors, that's hard to do because we're kind of tied to our booths when they're open. But have you been able to walk around and see other things?
I'll walk around just to see who's here and see what the displays are, and notice that ours is much better than everybody else's. I mean, no competition. No competition, but. No, and it's part of what's great about the youth gathering, of course, is young people get to meet other young people from around the country, around the world, who are excited about their faith, learning about their faith, connect with one another, and so that's a huge plus. I mean, everybody remembers being in a concert, not a concert hall, a baseball stadium here, or a stadium of some kind with 18,000 kids. I mean, it's just a unique experience to be able to do that. But it's also fun for the adults. I mean, it's I taught at seminary for 18 years, and all these students who are now pastors, and it's great to catch up and say hello. And I remember most of the names, but it's kind of cool. So it's a great way to reconnect with people, meet new people, and just encourage one another.
So the Bible studies happening at the gathering are roughly around 5,000 in attendance at each one. Have we met a record? Like, have we beat a record with that? Is this a record you keep at the Museum of the Bible? Like, how the largest Bible study in the world?
Largest Bible study. Well, maybe we should. I don't know. I tell you though, there's probably places like India or East Africa where there's probably more like several 100,000 in a Bible study. So
Wow.
I mean, it is amazing what's happening around the world. But it's it's great. It's great here.
And earlier you referenced partnerships. We have just like about another minute or so. How important are partnerships to what you do at the Museum of the Bible?
Oh, it's essential. I mean, we have a very wonderful collection of artifacts and objects, but it's and we are very pleased to show that off and help people understand the Bible through that. But again, to bring things to the museum and content to the museum that you can't get anywhere else in America is pretty exciting. And again, just to show the global impact of the Bible and its rich history, how it's been influential in so many different cultures and in America. So that's a big part of what we do, and great to be able to share that with everyone in Washington, D.C.
Well, I'm so glad that you brought a little bit of that museum in Washington, D.C. to the gathering here, the youth gathering in Houston, Texas. Now I've got to sneak over there sometime today so I can see the largest Bible. That's kind of pretty neat.
You got to hashtag us,
Now, did you have to check that when you flew in? You said it was like 1,100 pounds?
Yeah.
Did you have to pay extra for that?
We had to truck that one in.
I was going to say, you'd have to charter your own plane for that to get it. I don't even know if it would even fly.
Our guest today, the Reverend Dr. Jeffrey Kloha. He's Chief Curatorial Officer at Museum of the Bible, joining us at the LCMS Youth Gathering in Houston, Texas. Dr. Kloha, thanks so much for being our guest here on the Coffee Hour. It's just been a delight to spend time with you and learning more about the Museum of the Bible and the great work that you're doing, especially here at the gathering engaging youth. It's really been a joy.
Well, thanks again, and great to see you face-to-face.
You've been listening to the Coffee Hour from the LCMS Youth Gathering in Houston, Texas. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
The Coffee Hour with Andy and Sarah is a production of KFUO. To support the Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit KFUO.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@KFUO.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.